The fluorescent lights of the small grocery store flickered, casting a harsh glare on the linoleum floor as Mark Harris stood in the diaper aisle, clutching a crumpled dollar bill like it was the last lifeline for his tiny son. His hands trembled slightly, and his chest felt tight with exhaustion. Mark was a single dad, barely scraping by after losing his job months ago, and every choice he made now carried the weight of survival. The quiet hum of the store and the faint cries of babies in the background seemed to echo the loneliness he felt in his own heart. With one small stack of diapers in his arms and his wallet nearly empty, he realized the cruel reality. This single dollar was all that stood between his son, Noah, and a sleepless, uncomfortable night. If you believe in kindness and second chances, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, because sometimes miracles hide in the smallest gestures. Mark carefully placed the diaper pack on the counter, his eyes flicking nervously toward the line forming behind him. Each tick of the clock seemed louder than the last, amplifying the desperation he tried to hide. The cashier gave him a sympathetic smile as she scanned the items, but when she announced the total, his stomach sank. One crumpled dollar could not possibly cover it all. He fumbled in his pocket, counting his change with a shaking hand, knowing that every coin mattered. He had been down this path countless times, waking up to an empty fridge, putting off bills, working odd jobs that barely kept the lights on. Yet nothing hurt more than the thought of letting his son go without the basic necessities of childhood. As he sighed and prepared to confess that he didn't have enough, a voice broke through the monotony. A deep, calm voice filled with quiet authority. "I'll take them all." Mark turned to see a man in a tailored suit, impeccably groomed, standing a few feet behind him. His presence radiated confidence, and yet there was an undeniable warmth in his eyes. The man's gaze shifted from the stack of diapers to Mark, and in that moment, it was as if he saw not a stranger, but a fellow human being in need. The man's name, as Mark would later learn, was Jonathan Reed, a CEO of a thriving tech company, known in the city for his relentless ambition. And yet here he was, in this small, struggling aisle, performing an act that Mark could hardly believe. Mark froze, words catching in his throat. He didn't know what to say, not out of pride, but because he felt unworthy of such kindness. Every struggle, every sleepless night, every tear shed over bills and missed opportunities seemed to condense into that single moment. Jonathan didn't just pay for the diapers. He gave Mark something far more valuable, a glimmer of hope that the world still had good people in it, even when life seemed determined to crush him. Mark left the store that day with Noah in his arms and a bag full of diapers, but more importantly with a sense of relief that he hadn't felt in months. As he walked through the quiet streets of Chicago, the wind biting at his cheeks, he couldn't stop thinking about the man who had seen him. He didn't just see a struggling father, he saw a man who loved his child fiercely and was willing to fight through the darkness. Mark wondered why someone so successful would care about a stranger's plight, and yet, perhaps that was the true measure of success. Not in wealth, but in compassion. Over the following weeks, Mark found himself crossing paths with Jonathan more often, sometimes by coincidence, other times through gestures that felt almost intentional. Each encounter reminded him that life could change in the blink of an eye, that a single act of kindness could ripple out in ways he never imagined. Slowly, Mark began to rebuild, not just his finances, but his spirit. He found part-time work, reconnected with friends he had lost touch with, and started dreaming again about a future where he could provide more than just the bare essentials for Noah. Through it all, Mark carried one lesson with him, that even in moments of despair, human connection could transform pain into hope. He began to volunteer at local shelters, helping other struggling families, always thinking back to the day a stranger paid for diapers with no expectation of repayment, no judgment, only a silent understanding that life was fragile and kindness was priceless. And then came a day when Jonathan invited Mark to his office, not for a charity event, not for a lecture, but simply to meet him again. In the sleek, glass-walled room overlooking the city, Mark realized something profound. Success, wealth, and power were meaningless if they didn't touch other lives. Jonathan had taught him that by reaching out to someone in need, you could create a chain of compassion that might one day circle back to help someone you could never imagine. That day, Mark left not just with a promise of mentorship, but with a renewed belief that he could overcome the obstacles before him and give Noah the childhood he deserved. Every night since, when Mark tucks Noah into bed, he remembers the moment of quiet generosity that changed his life forever. It's in those small, tender moments, the gentle brushing of hair from a sleepy forehead, the whispered "I love you" before lights out, that Mark understands the true weight of hope. A single dollar, a simple gesture, can become a lifeline. And in that lifeline, Mark found the courage to keep going, to believe in a brighter tomorrow, and to never stop reaching for it. If this story touched your heart, if you feel the power of compassion and second chances, please engage with this video. Like, share, and comment below. Your support spreads hope, just like Jonathan's kindness spread hope to a father in need. And if you've ever experienced a moment when a stranger changed your life with a small act of kindness, comment your story below. I would love to read how hope found you. 2. Because sometimes, the smallest gesture, like buying diapers with $1, isn't just a purchase. It's a lifeline, a spark, and a reminder that love, humanity, and grace still exist in the world, waiting to find us when we need it most.